Hey everyone. Alright, today's video is going to be over identifying independent and dependent variables in a situation, and then we're going to use that information to create tables and graph. So your objective, I will be able to determine independent and dependent quantities from problem situations. So first of all, let's talk about what a function is. And a function is the relationship between two variables. And the two variables that you are going to see are x and y. And you're normally going to see a function in this form. And this probably looks like a bunch of nonsense right now, but momentarily it will not. So in a function, we are focused on the x and the y. One is independent and one is dependent. Your independent variable is going to be x. So x is going to affect what y becomes. So let's say you go to the store and buy some candy bars. The independent variable would be the number of candy bars that you buy, because the less you buy, the less it's going to cost, and the more you buy, the more it's going to cost. So that's affecting the end result. Now, if we're talking about a dependent variable, that's something that depends on one or more other variables. So in this situation, y is going to be dependent, because the amount you would have to pay for candy bars is going to depend on the number of candy bars that you buy. So in this situation, we have the number of days since your last haircut and the length of your hair. So the number of days would be independent, and then the length of your hair would be dependent, because the length of your hair is going to depend on how long it's been since you last had it cut. Alright, so let's do an example together. Jessica has a summer job that pays $6.50 per hour. She received a bonus of $20. Alright, so the independent variable, that's going to affect the end result. So that's going to be the x value, and we can also think of that as what we don't know in the problem. And we don't know the number of hours. So our independent variable is going to be the number of hours that she worked. The dependent variable is what is affected by everything. And I like to think of it as an end result. So the dependent variable is going to be her total pay. So the number of hours that she works is going to affect the total pay that she receives. Now we're going to write an equation with it. And now that we are on functions, our equations are always going to start with y equals. That's just saying her total pay is going to be equal to whatever we put next. So whenever we write an equation, we know we're going to have a coefficient and a variable. So the variable is x. The number multiplied by x would be the $6.50, $6.50 per hour. And I'm just going to put 6.5. So she gets $6.50 per hour, and she received a bonus of $20, so that would be plus 20. Alright, example 2. Stephen is buying candy bars that cost $2 a piece, and he has a coupon for $1 off. So the independent variable, which is x, that is going to be the candy bars. They cost $2 a piece, and that piece is just talking about candy bars. So x is the number of candy bars. Now the number of candy bars that Stephen buys is going to affect the total cost. So the total cost of everything is going to be the dependent variable. So the number of candy bars affects the total cost of the candy bars. Now let's create an equation. So as I said before, now that we're on functions, the equation is going to start with y equals. So the total cost equals, now our variable's x, and that represents the number of candy bars, and we would multiply $2 times that, because it's $2 per candy bar, and he has a coupon for $1 off his purchase. So that would be minus 1. So y equals 2x minus 1. Now before I move on, I want to point out, in the beginning I wrote y equals mx plus b. So 2 represents the letter M, and that 1 represents the B. So that's why we're putting it in that form. Okay, now we're going to fill in a table. So we know that y equals 2x minus 1. So that's what we're going to use to find different values that correspond with x. So let's say x equals 0. So that means 2 times 0 minus 1 is going to equal y. Okay, so 2 times 0 is 0, minus 1 is a negative 1. Now, let's say that he buys 1 candy bar, because remember x is the number of candy bars. So if he buys 1 candy bar, that's $2 times that 1 candy bar, and then take the dollar off. So that would equal 1. Alright, now let's say he buys 2 candy bars. So it's $2 for each candy bar minus the dollar off. And that would be 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3. Let's say he buys 3 candy bars. So it's $2 each for 3 candy bars, and then we're going to take away $1. So 2 times 3 is 6, minus 1 is 5. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the x and y values, and I am going to create a coordinate pair, and I'm going to graph them. So x is 0, y is negative 1. That's 0, negative 1. Let me change the color of that. I want to make all this match. So that would be 0, negative 1. Next we would have 1, 1. Then we would have 2, 3. And then we would have 3, 5. And I am going to plot these points. So 0, negative 1. So I start at the origin. And then if y is negative 1, we move down 1. Then I have 1, 1. So I'm going to start at the origin and go right 1 and up 1. 2, 3. I'm going to go right 2 and up 3. And 3, 5. I'm going to go right 3 and up 5. Now, as you can see, all of these dots are in a line. So that means this is a linear relationship. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to use a straight line to connect those points. And I'm going to put arrows on each end because numbers are infinite, therefore the numbers on a graph are infinite, and this line would also be infinite. Alright, now it's time for you to try. Identify your independent and dependent variables. Fill in the table, plot your points, and graph. Make sure you show all of your work, and we will see you next class day.